You know what I think is crazy? How so many people walk around calling themselves lazy when in reality they are exhausted from performing all day long. Some are performing as a productive friend, some are performing as the person who has their life together, and some are performing being chill in relationships when they're actually anxious all the time. And then there's you, sitting here watching this video and thinking, why can't I just do the things I say I want to do? You tell yourself you're lazy, you tell yourself you lack discipline. You think there's something wrong with you because you can scroll for 3 hours, but you cannot send one email or start a project or fix your life. But what if the problem isn't laziness? What if you're just completely drained from trying to be a version of yourself that was built for survival instead of happiness? Because listen, lazy people don't spend their nights panicking about their wasted potential. Lazy people don't constantly consume self-help content trying to fix themselves. And lazy people don't feel guilty for resting. You are not lazy. You are performing. And performance is exhausting. For about 6 months, I ordered matcha every single time I would go to a cafe. And I convinced myself that I actually liked it. And then one afternoon, very recently actually, I sat there and asked myself, do I actually enjoy this? And the honest answer is no, not really. I just liked the idea of being someone who drinks the matcha. You know, the intentional morning girl. I wasn't drinking it because it felt good or it's healthy for me. I was drinking it because it matched a version of me that I was trying to perform. And when I got that, I started looking at everything else that I do also in a similar way. So let me show you what performing actually looks like in real life. The thing about performance is that it doesn't look fake and it doesn't feel fake. It just feels like your personality. And that's what makes it so hard to catch. And this is what I have noticed in myself. Performance looks like being really, really busy. So I sat down to write the script about a few days ago. And the first day, instead of spending 2 hours writing the script, I spent those 2 hours reorganizing my entire Notion. New folders, color coding, new templates, creating this beautiful system for myself. But then, zero actual output. And I called it productive. But this wasn't me being productive. This was me performing productivity. This is exactly why we procrastinate on the things we actually care about the most. It is not because we're lazy. It is because the moment something genuinely matters to you, it becomes very personal. Your identity gets attached to it. So your brain goes, if I never fully try, I can never fully fail. And I'm not just guessing this. I actually looked at my own data for this. Last month, I listened to 3,017 minutes of music in just 1 month. I made a video about it. You can go watch it. One of the reasons I listen to so much music is that I needed the feeling of living a curated, intentional life. To mask the reality, which was just me sitting in front of my laptop, totally lost, trying to figure out what am I doing with my life. So in that process, I realized what performance actually costs you. First is that it costs you your actual emotions. When you've spent years prioritizing functioning over honesty, when the only question you ask yourself is what do I need to do next instead of how do I actually feel, you slowly lose the ability to hear your own voice. You become a stranger to your own self. Second is that it makes the meaningful moments feel empty. Have you ever hit a huge goal, got all the praise, and still felt nothing? One of the reasons why is because the version of you receiving that validation isn't actually real. It was the polished, acceptable version of you. And no amount of external applause can actually fill the gap left by self-abandonment. Third, you lose your sense of who you even are. You see, performance has no finish line. Since the goal is approval and approval is temporary, you stay stuck in the cycle of more. More output, more optimization, more evidence that you deserve to be there. You're not physically tired, you are exhausted from carrying all these different versions of yourself all throughout the day. You've got the work version, you've got the social version, you've got the productive girl version, you've got the healed version, and so many more versions. Now let me tell you the 4 things I've caught in myself. I was just performing instead of living. I think you might recognize in yourself too. The first sign is that you feel guilty resting. Not just occasionally, but consistently. Even when your body is literally begging you to stop. Your brain is running this constant tally of everything that you've not done yet. You call yourself lazy for not doing those things. But that's not laziness. That's just evidence of a performance standard that actually has no off switch. Real rest doesn't need to be earned. But when you're a performer, rest feels like a reward you actually haven't qualified for yet. So what you do is that you half rest. You scroll while you're relaxing, you feel guilty when you're lying down, you never actually fully recover. So tomorrow, the performance can actually start with a deeper deficit. The second sign is that you're constantly emotionally editing yourself around other people. You're trying to constantly manage perception. You rehearse texts before sending them, you replay conversations in your head afterwards. When you meet somebody new, you wonder what they think of you. All of these things that you do, it is mentally exhausting. The third sign is that you procrastinate on things that matter the most to you. It's a creative project that you're interested in, or the application for university or a job that you have to send out, or the conversation you know you need to have. You can do 100 of low-stakes tasks in a day, but the one thing that actually moves the needle stays untouched. It's not that you don't care. It's that you care so much that failing feels personal. I do this with the videos that I am most excited about. The ideas that feel the most me are the ones that sit in my notes for weeks. Why? Because those are the moments where performance has nowhere to hide. If the video doesn't land, it feels like I didn't land. And that feels too big of a risk. So what do? I reorganize my Notion instead. The fourth sign is that you don't know how to exist without productivity. Every single moment has to be justified. You can't watch a show without multitasking. You can't enjoy a quiet Sunday without the background voice in your head asking if you're wasting your life. Even watching this video about performance, your brain is probably taking notes on how to perform recovery better. We've become so focused on how our lives look that we've forgotten how they feel. You're exhausted because you're carrying the invisible weight of being watched, either by social media or by people around you or even by yourself. So now comes the uncomfortable question. If you stripped the performance away, who's actually there? This is uncomfortable because performance gives you structure and safety. Authenticity is uncertain. Authenticity doesn't come with these guarantees. To be real, you have to risk being unimpressive, unfinished, and still figuring it out. When your whole identity is built on having it together, this feels like free falling. Nobody decides to be a performer, by the way. You learn it. Usually because at some point being yourself fully stopped feeling safe. Maybe achievements got you so much love, so you just kept achieving. Maybe being low maintenance kept people around you, so you stayed small. Maybe being the strong one meant nobody worried about you, so you just kept being strong. But the rebuild doesn't start with a new routine or a 30-day plan to fix your life. It actually starts with noticing. Noticing when you're pretending to be okay. Noticing when you're choosing what looks impressive over what feels true. Noticing when you're performing for an imaginary audience that isn't even watching. So for me, it started with small, honest questions. What music do I actually like? Not what sounds impressive when I tell other people about my music taste. What routines actually support me, not what makes me look like that girl. Then I started practicing private wins. A private win is something that is so fulfilling that the thought of posting feels like a violation of that moment. It's reading a book because you actually like it. Not because some creator or some person told you it changed your life and then you feel the need to go buy it and read it. It is taking walks because your brain and your body needs it, not because it's a healthy habit to photograph and share it with people. It's choosing a life that feels good on the inside, even if it looks completely ordinary from the outside. The question I now ask is that, if nobody ever saw this, would it still mean something to me? If the answer is yes, then it's real. That's yours. If the answer is no, that's performance. And you are allowed to put it down. Your life doesn't change when you become better or when you reinvent yourself. It changes when you stop treating your existence like something that needs to be earned. I'm still figuring all of this out. This isn't me standing on the other side of the problem. I still catch myself performing. I still refresh my YouTube analytics before I even brush my teeth. I still have days where the music is just covering up silence that I'm not ready to hear yet. The difference now is that I notice it. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it, no matter how hard you try. You realize how much energy you've been burning just to be digestible, impressive, and put together. And you start asking, what would happen if I just stopped performing? What if the life that you've been waiting for, the one that actually feels like yours, has been there the whole time, right underneath this act, just waiting for you to get quiet enough so you can finally hear it. So, I don't think you're lazy. I think you are performing. And I think you are allowed to stop. If you saw yourself in any part of this video, I hope you leave being a little less hard on yourself today. But yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.